Hello everybody, Eric with Secondary Machine, and this evening I am out in the shop. It's Sunday evening. I just finished getting the Enco, the new little mini knee mill set up. It's really not as mini as I thought. It's actually considerably bigger than I thought, which isn't all bad, but look at how it compares to the Enco. You can see that there's actually quite a difference. There's a lot more metal there than there is over here, which makes sense because this has an R8 spindle on it, which will run like 3/4 inch tooling and stuff. So, this on the other hand maxes out at 1/2 inch. So, motor wise, this has 1 horse motor on it. Over here we got just 3/4. There's some other differences, some stuff I'd like to talk about that I didn't really realize. One, the spindle on this, every mill I've ever had, it's always had a way to lock the spindle while you put the collet in and lock everything down. There's nothing on this. There's no brake either, which is really weird. Whereas over here on the Clousing, you've got this brake where you can stop it while you tighten everything up and hold it still. My other mill that was out in the other shop, the large knee mill, had a pin that came up from underneath that basically locked up into this and would keep it from being able to spin. But I did finally realize that there's 2 nuts on this. You just have to use 2 wrenches to do it. Couple other things that I've noticed on this. You can't set a 0 evidently on these dials, which is weird because these are all knurled and I've taken all 3 of them off, but it's all solid. Like, unless there's something, maybe somebody got cute with the thread locker or something, but this is basically, you could tell it's 2 different pieces of metal, but they don't spin free of this. The set screw is the only thing holding it on there. And so I've had all 3 of them off, actually 4 of them. The knee is the same way. So basically, like on the Clousing, this is really nice because you loosen this little part up right here that's knurled, which allows you to set the 0 to wherever you want it, and then you just tighten it back down, and away you go. I just assumed that this would be the same thing, and maybe there's something I'm not understanding about this, but so far, I even had a pair of channel locks on this, just thinking, well, maybe it's just stuck. Maybe somebody didn't know that that was a function of it, and it's been sitting unused since 1988 or whatever when this was made. But anyway, I can't get them to spin. Another thing that I've noticed that I really actually rather like is I'm used to, on knee mills, 100 thou per revolution. On the Clousing, this only does 50 thou, so you're really cranking and cranking and cranking to get any movement out of the knee. So that's actually kind of beneficial. Let's see what else. I took some measurements. The proof is in the pudding. I'm getting about 3/10 on the inside of the spindle. That's perfectly acceptable. And then this is a 1/10 indicator. Brown and sharp. And then on this 1/2 inch shaft, I'm getting 3/10 also. And that's on a brand new collet, by the way, which these collets I ordered yesterday off of Amazon. It's new R8 collets because I sold my other set. These ones are better than the last set that I bought off of Amazon. These appear to be really good, actually. But that's an unproven collet. I don't, it could have a little bit of run out in the collet itself too, but I don't think it does because I measured 3/10 on the inside of it and it's still at 3/10 out here on the outside. So that's good news. Spindle bearings appear to be in really, really good shape. So always happy about that. So the backlash on this machine is very little. There's like 5 thou worth of backlash in each direction, so it's super tight. I've taken some measurements here. You can see where I'm measuring to see, when I ask for 1,000 here on the dial, am I getting 1,000 over here? Everything on the machine checks out. I'm getting exactly from the input from the dials. I'm getting, in terms of travel, exactly what I'm asking for. So that's good news. I like that This part of the machine is just way more stout than what's on the clousing. They actually say not to do drilling operations on this because there's a bunch of really tiny little gears inside of here. This is built a lot stronger, and I really rather like how they did this. So you spin this in and it engages a cog inside of here, which will give you the fine feed, which is really nice. And then if you turn this back out just a little bit, you can feed it with the arm, which is really pretty cool. I also happened to notice that there's a little spot on this pulley up here, which I didn't catch when I bought it, but I don't suppose that's really going to make any difference at all. It's just kind of a bummer that it's there, but probably no real big deal. Oiling up the machine was really cool. I like the Getz oilers, are really conveniently placed. It's got this really nice rubber piece on here to keep these ways clean too, which I really like. Instead of having like felt, it's a nice piece of rubber, which is really pushing down onto the way quite nicely and keeping debris out of there so that you're not wearing anything out. Now, when I went to tram it in, pretty much every machine I've had, every knee mill I've had, with the exception of this one, when I tram side to side, it's really easy to get it perfect, right on where it needs to be by tilting the head and getting it just spot on. But what I've noticed on every machine I've had is that when you come around to the front, a lot of times you get a little bit of variance front to back, which really comes down to how well was this done. This machine is spot on. It's actually better than the clousing. I think I'm dropping like a thou to the front as I'm spinning around on that machine, which ultimately really isn't like a big deal. Yeah, I'm probably never going to pick that up on anything I make, but it is nice to know that on this machine, it's just right where it ought to be. Still not sure. With all the testing I've done, I'm really leaning towards maybe wanting to keep this one. It's definitely bigger than what I was thinking it was going to be, which kind of like I'm thrilled with that in one regard, but on the other, like I like the size of this machine quite a bit. I don't, I just sold off a much larger knee mill, but this is actually, there's so much metal there. This is probably just about every bit as capable as the large knee mill that I had out in the other room, except for that the table on this is a little bit smaller. That's the other thing is the RAM moving in and out. I was talking about in another video. That's one thing I'm going to lose if I get rid of this machine. It's nice that I can move that in and out of there. Won't be able to do that on this, but I think I can kind of work around. Like if I really had to get up close, I could swing this and bring it in a little bit closer. Can't extend it any further out, but I think with just proper setup, I can probably get things to where I need them to be to pull off the operations that I want to pull off. The table on this is actually a little bit bigger too, which is nice. It's about 2 inches longer. Plus it's also got these little caps on the end so that if I'm running coolant, I can catch the coolant. Whereas that's one thing I didn't really care about with this machine. There's no place, if I'm running the misters or whatever, it's just gonna be draining off. So, there are definitely some differences between the two machines and trying to decide which one I want to keep. I really like R8 tooling, and so I'm kind of leaning towards keeping this one and just trying to get my money back out of that. I'm sure I will, because these are so hard to find on the West Coast. I mean, this was my dream machine for a long time. I don't know, 6 or 7 years I looked and waited before I finally, that one came up and I jumped right on it and got it. Now, I spent some time the last few days, I think I've had this 4 days, trying to figure out where the hell am I going to put it. So the lathe that was there went to Canada this morning, which is nice. The new, really nice couple came down and picked that up from Canada, and they took it back home. So I'm glad to have the space over here back. But I wasn't sure exactly, where am I going to put this mill? Like, I need a base for it. I ended up deciding to bring this cart. this cart's been out in the other shop for a long time. When I bought this like 2 years ago or 3 years ago or whatever, it's one of those tools where I'm like, man, I don't know how I lived without that cart all this time. I use it all the time. Matter of fact, we were using this cart yesterday, my 8-year-old son and I got him a little Honda like 185 single cylinder motorcycle engine to tear apart because he's interested in engines. So we took that apart yesterday on this cart. Like literally, I use this cart all the time. So anyway, it finally dawned on me that I could bring the cart up and use it as a temporary base. It's not that sturdy. It actually, this kind of will move around a little bit. I don't know if you guys are picking that up, probably not. But when I push on the machine, it's not real stable. And a lot of that is because the wheels are so close together down here. There's just laterally not a lot of stability there. But at least I got the tool onto something, got it set up. It's under power. I've made some cuts with it, and I can, you know, kind of deal with it on the cart until I decide what I want to do. I'm leaning towards I'll probably just buy some steel, and then out in the other shop where all my welding stuff is, I'll probably make a stand for it. I was bummed out when I bought this DRO that the scale, the X scale, that even after measuring all of this, they still sent me a scale that was 2 inches too long. And so I hadn't gotten to that project here, and I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I wasn't looking forward to having to cut that scale, although it doesn't look like it's super hard to do. But now I've got the right size scale for this machine because I've got that extra couple of inches. So, you know, maybe it was sort of meant to be. I don't know yet. We will see how things go. One more little piece of news. This came in today for the new lathe. This is a rebuild kit. So my understanding, these are the oilers for the spindle. My understanding, this is a 1953 lathe. I don't know if they've ever been changed, but I've read that these can turn kind of into wood basically over the course of time. And when you do these oilers, you definitely want that oil to be sucked up through these, and that the spindle's getting plenty of oil. So I got all the felt. Like there's the one that goes down on the foot of the tail stock, the little ones that go here on the saddle. All that stuff is in here to redo that. So I'll be getting into doing that here pretty quick. That came in the mail either yesterday or today. My short-term memory, you know, yesterday is today as far as I can tell. So anyway, I think I'll let you guys go. Oh, I had this extra vise sitting out in the other shop already ready to go. So this is a really nice size vise to fit on top of this. On the overall for this machine, I'm pretty thrilled. Like it's that's a nice hobby-sized machine. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see which one. So now I've got large, I've got medium, and I've got small. No shortage of emails in here. Anyway, Eric with Secondary Machine. I will talk to you all later.